So moving out of Infinite Annihilator, and a little bit after that, you started up a new band called Enterprise Earth, which killer music, killer vocals, killer band. How did Enterprise Earth start up?
It's kind of like a perfect sequence of questions because Enterprise Earth was a band that me and BJ Sampson had formed from scratch. After I quit the band, I was looking really hard to find a partner, to find someone or a group of guys that I could work with that not only could we blow up with because we all have the talent, but also guys that I could trust and people that I could count on so that when we do blow up, I'm surrounded by people that are on my team, and not for themselves. So Enterprise Earth was kind of like a way of proving to myself that I don't need, Infinite Annihilator. I don't need to claim that as my band. Like, it's basically proof to myself that, they're not the only reasons that band succeeded and that I was a part of it. So, to be honest, like when we started the band, I wasn't sure if it was going to go anywhere. I was just going to, bet everything I had on it, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what Enterprise Earth is now. It's pretty much just like a big fuck you, and also proof to myself that I'm not fucking useless and I'm not expendable.
Why the name Enterprise Earth?
At first, when we started up, ideas were kind of scattered conceptually. I ended up writing like the first EP based on conspiracy theories, which is really fun for me. I'm pretty big into those sometimes. Pretty entertaining. So basically, I was reading up on abductions and alien abductions and in conspiracy theories. So just like the two words just kind of combined together, they just came together, and I was just like, oh, that sounds like a good band name. And then so we just used that, and my guitar player was like, I don't know how I feel about that, but a name's a name, so whatever. And so we ended up using it, and then it kind of like the meaning of the name slowly evolved into more of like, like me and BJ, like all we want to do is just push it to the top. Like we're just dedicated. We know what we need to do, and so like just uniting under that name now kind of means something different. It means that we're going to do what we need to do and strategically plan and make moves to move towards the top, I guess, to be successful. Not necessarily the top or be the best or the biggest, but like just be successful at what we do.
So the first release you guys have out was 23. What was the concept behind that EP, and what did you write about on that record? You were talking about conspiracy theories. Was it?
Yeah.
All of that?
Yeah, like my mind was like going through a little bit of a scattered, I guess, stage or phase when I was writing the EP. But yeah, I was researching a lot of Illuminati and just like kind of being entertained by different thoughts and ideas and conspiracies. And so, basically, a lot of, even though the ideas are scattered and not as well knit into a cohesive concept, it's just kind of like an artistic expression of different conspiracy ideas, like blood sacrifice and, let's see, Shepherd of Synthesis was kind of loosely based on the idea of our government using 9/11 as a blood sacrifice to Satan. Yeah, I mean, it's just like it's in the little fun conspiracy concepts like that.
Okay.
I could go deeper, but I feel like I would just have to go deeper into each song, and that would take forever.
That might be for another day, my man. The latest release you guys have is through Stay Sick Recordings. Before we get into the album, would you care to explain why and how you guys got involved with that label?
Oh, Stay Sick. Yeah, initially, we were signed to We Are Triumphant, and while we were signed to them, everyone in the band just kind of knew, and when we signed, that it was just kind of a stepping stone label. We wanted to shoot for something bigger and better. So then after that, after we exited that contract, we were looking for a better label, but we kind of had our eyes set on Artery. We thought that would be a good fit for us. But when we approached them, they basically said, "Yeah, you guys would be a good fit, but Franz from Attila is actually starting his own label, and Mike from Artery was gonna like help run the business aspect of it, and to team up with Franz to help him become successful." And like, we were still young, we know the size of our band. We're not ignorant. We're not, like, our heads aren't full of air. We're pretty intelligent, and we know the size of our band.
Mm-hmm.
So being on Artery or a bigger label like that, I feel like we'd end up being like the bottom feeders, basically the back burner bands. And if we were going to get signed to a label like that, we would need to get the hype. We would need the momentum, basically, to not be one of those bands. At least, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to be the back burner band. I don't want to be sitting on back burner. So when he brought the idea of Franz, and it's going to be new, it was a gamble for us, but we just thought it would be a perfect fit, knowing our size and that he's a startup. And on top of that, like, he didn't have any heavy bands on his label, so the fact that he wanted to sign a heavy band was just like, fuck yeah, like, let's do it. So that actually ended up being one of the best decisions of our lives, to be honest, because Franz, like, genuinely cares about the music. Of course, it has to have some hype behind it. You have to be a good businessman.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't genuinely respect and love the music, then it's nothing. And that's what all these labels have boiled down to. It's all about hype, all about money, and nothing else. But on Franz's label, it seems to be more about the music and building a name, and the money will come later. The hype will come later. But right now, it's all about the music, and that I completely respect. And on top of that, on a personal note, he's been helpful to me personally, giving me advice. He genuinely cares, and like, a lot of people will see just like his Instagram pictures of him in like sporty cars and being rich and shit. But he earned that. And the crazy thing is that, like, he thinks that everyone deserves that, and he thinks everyone deserves the opportunity to earn that themselves. So I'm happy with it, and that's kind of how it came out.
Well, congratulations on being signed to that label. I've talked to a few different band members and how they've had to deal with different labels. So I'm glad you went with a direction that makes you guys happy, and I think it's very beneficial since they're promoting you. You guys have tours, and you put out the album, and it's exploded. So again, congratulations on being signed to them. Going back, the response. How was the response to your latest release in 2015, Patient Zero?
I don't know. Initially, I started to keep track. Like, as soon as it released, I was like kind of hovering over the comments, checking out, see if anyone was talking shit,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, initially it was very, very good, but after a while, I kind of just stopped paying as much attention to that, and just kind of started, wiring myself to pay less attention to what everyone is saying and pay more attention to, like, what you're doing in the music. So after initially observing, like, I mean, yeah, it was good. But like I said, I haven't been paying attention lately, so I don't know the extended effect of it, I guess.
Okay. We talked about what you wrote on your first EP, 23. What did you write about on your first LP, Patient Zero?
Yeah. So on this album, like, basically, I wanted to write this kind of like twisted horror story, I guess you could say, that that was like a linear storyline, but what I wanted to do is like take that linear storyline and then embed myself into it in this like almost subliminal way. So a lot of the songs, like you'll even like listen to the songs and hear the lyrics, and you're like, what the fuck is this guy even fucking talking about? Yeah, even when you read the lyrics back and try to figure it out, you're like, what is he talking about? But basically, what I've done is like embedded myself into the song so that it has some sort of underlining subliminal meaning. I released some meaning, like the meanings of each song on my Facebook, just so people weren't too confused or didn't think that I was too insane, or all over the place. But basically, what it boils down to is it's about this insane asylum that, you know, if you think about an insane asylum, it's like the outcast of the world, like people that aren't fit to live in society because they just can't function correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're outcast. They're sentenced basically to these insane asylums. And this one is about a particular one where it's all like science fiction, or none of it's based off of anything true. Like an Infant Annihilator, I base a lot of the lyrics off of true circumstances, off of true stories, from how priests were raping little boys and conspiracies and stuff like that in the Catholic Church. But in this, it's more based off of, like, I guess, like your inner demons, my inner demons personally. So basically, these patients are, like, no one knows about it because no one gives a fuck about the patients that go to an insane asylum. So the doctors in this place are experimenting on the patients and doing, like, fucked up, twisted shit. And these demons inside the insane asylum are kind of conducting it all, with their kind of, like, little sinister master plan to come to reality and, consume the world or whatever. So it's just like, it's really insane if you think about it. But to be honest, I wrote it in a way that it could be more or less of like an indie film. And it might not be a very good indie film, but that's what I was trying to shoot for.
Okay, I think I remember seeing on social media, either right before this album came out or right after, how you were talking about how much more confident you were in your vocal ability on this album compared to like Infinite Annihilator or before. You were talking about like your highs. I think that really shows on this album how we also talked about how like you were inexperienced about production. I think you definitely learned more as time went on, and I think you got way better at your craft. Not saying that you were bad before, but just improvement in general. And I think it shows, and I think you guys put out a great album, and I jam it. It's heavy, and
yeah, man, that means a lot that you noticed that too, because on Infinite Annihilator, not only was my production skills not so good, but basically just my technique wasn't very good. Even since then, I've improved, like, on my mid-range. They're less whiny. Like, I just, like, tightened up all these little things that I hated about my own voice. And on top of that, like, when I did the Infinite Annihilator album, that's when my voice first started to change, I guess, like, into, like, a manly sound. Before it was, I guess it wasn't as low, it wasn't as deep, wasn't as gurgly. So that was, like, my first foot in the door with that. So after, like, between now and when the album was released, I would hear other vocalists, and I'm like, man, that made my voice sound like shit. So I knew I needed to work on shit. So this album was a product of me practicing a lot and working on my technique. And also, this album, I actually just got to go to the studio, and I didn't have to do any engineering, any production myself. I just got to stand in front of a microphone and scream, so that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's a lot of stress off your back, too.
Oh, yeah. Well, not much stress, but...
Right, but with work and everything else.
Because BJ loves to put stress on me. He's like, yeah, so you got to have 2 songs done in less than a week, written in solidified, and I'm just like, fuck. No. So yeah, there's still a lot of stress, but
BJ's a cool guy though. You guys have been on and off some tours. Just released some information on some new ones we'll get to in a little bit. What has been your favorite tour experience so far, and why?
oh, my favorite tour experience. I think I can pick my least favorite tour experience
Okay.
easier than I could my favorite, for sure.
Okay.
The last two tours have been pretty miserable. Both tours ended up getting super, super sick, deathly sick. So I'm trying to think. I guess I've seen a lot of penis on the King Conquer tour. A lot more penis than I would see anywhere else. I don't know if that would be a favorite or a least favorite either.
It's a good tie.
Yeah, let's just put that as a fun fact. What is your favorite fun fact from one of your tours? I saw a lot of penis on the King Conquer tour.
I'll have to bring that up to Chris or someone from King Conquer whenever I talk to him next. You guys just released some new information I want to talk about here. You guys just got a new guitarist. It was the former member of Rings of Saturn, Joe Omens. So Joe is now part of Enterprise Earth. How excited are you to have him as one of the 3 guitar players that you guys have? It's an arsenal of guitar players.
Well, I'm honestly super ecstatic and excited because I'm in love with his work that he did on Transorbital Awakening, the single that we released with him featured on it. I'm in love with that song, and I'm in love with his work on it. So just having him in the band now, to be honest, is a breath of fresh air, and I'm excited for future material because of it.
It's going to be killer. I guess that was a pretty easy transition since he was already featured on a track then. Another piece of information was something I'm really excited about, the Decade of the Blade tour with Whitechapel, Fit for a King, The Plot, and You. That is going to be a heavy-ass tour. How pumped are you for this tour?
I'm pretty fucking excited, to be honest. I don't know if I'm more nervous or more excited. Like I said, the last 2 tours I got really sick, so we're going to be out for 2 months this time, and I'm just afraid of getting sick. But other than that, I'm fucking excited as fuck. It sucks that, like, fearing being sick or fear of getting sick is getting in my way of just enjoying this fully, but, yeah, dude, I'm excited as fuck. I've always wanted to tour with Whitechapel. The Plot and You is fucking amazing. Label mates, that'd be awesome, too, to get to know them. Fuck yeah. Phineas, I hear they're like a Christian metal band. I heard like one of their songs are pretty solid. So that's gonna be fun too.
Okay. Isn't Phil Bozeman one of your influences from back in the day? I remember seeing something on social media about how you were talking about their first album.
Yeah, back in the day, he was, I wouldn't say that he was one of my influences, or idols or anything like that, but he was definitely one of the ones that I recognized in the scene that was superior to the average Joe vocalist that was out in the scene at the time. So, yeah, I mean, I have like a shit ton of respect for him, so that's going to be interesting too, just to see if I end up fangirling when I meet him.
I think it's going to be a great tour. It's a powerhouse of a tour. Wrapping everything up, what's in store for everyone that you can talk about for the rest of the year 2016?
Besides the Carnifex festival run and the Whitechapel tour, I can't really say much, but we do have some like cool stuff planned for the rest of the year, and I think by the end of the year we're going to start working on the new record after we get these tours out of the way. So that's exciting for us because, like, you know, we hear our EP and then we hear our full length, and you know, we just want to one up every time. So we're just excited about that.
It's a great attitude to have. Anything you want to say to fans before we sign off?
Yeah, I mean, they're the reason I'm here. They're the reason I have a voice today. They're the reason that I'm still doing music. So yeah, I just want to thank them. I just want to thank every single one of them.
All right, Dan, thank you very much for letting me interview you. I'm going to be talking to you here in a second off air. Dan Watson from Enterprise Earth, they have that Decade of the Blade tour starting on May 4th, going through the 22nd. Make sure you check them out on tour. They have some new music, hopefully, toward the end of the year. We'll see what happens. They have Patient Zero out on Stay Sick Recordings. Make sure you check them out. Enterprise Earth. Hey guys, thanks for checking out the channel. Thanks for checking out the video. I had a lot of fun talking to Dan. We talked for about an hour, and honestly, one of the nicest guys you'll ever talk to, ever meet. I've listened to him for a few years now. It's really cool getting to know someone as big as Dan Watson, and he's just a normal guy like you and me, and I don't know. So special thanks to Dan for letting me interview you. Special thanks to Orion Stevens for helping me set that up. If you're in a band and you want to be interviewed, make sure you look down below. I have my personal links to my Facebook and Twitter. You can shoot me a message or tweet at me or whatever you want to do, and we'll probably set something up in the future. I have a lot of fun doing these interviews. It's fun getting to know bands and letting them reach out to fans in a way that they might not be able to just typing or however they get a hold of people. So thanks for checking out the channel. Subscribe if you like it, and thanks.